Here's a preview of what you'll hear on this episode of Beyond the Wheel.
Winnebago, it's like Kleenex of tissues. That definitely helps us stand out, but we're not just kind of resting on our name. We're looking at what type of innovative products and floor plans and really building quality into our manufacturing process so the product stands tall when it gets to the dealer before their PDI process. It goes to their sales lot a lot cleaner. It stands tall. It runs through their service before delivery a lot cleaner. So that way, with the quality that's built in, a customer can realize it, a dealer can realize it, and they want to stock more and sell more, and we have that more demand from the end consumer.
Now enjoy the show.
You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety, so go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
Whether your adventure is on the road, on the water, or off the grid, Battleborn Batteries keep you out there longer.
Hey everyone, Kenny here. Do you travel with pets and are looking for a way to monitor and be alerted of temperature spikes in your RV while away? I've been using a temp stick in our RV for over 3 years, and I love the simplicity of being able to connect to any of our hotspots, as well as not having the hassle of any subscription or service fees. If you are looking for a reliable way to protect your pets while away, check out TempStick at tempstick.com.
The towable market makes up the majority of RV sales. Developing towables that cater to various lifestyles is important for manufacturers to stand out from one another in such a competitive space. Today we are joined by Adam from Winnebago to talk about two of their new towables that target specific segments of the market. You will hear about the innovations in these two towables, the Hike 100 and the Micro Mini Flex. Both of these are being displayed to customers at the Tampa Super Show and will be available to purchase in the near future. So let's get this episode started with Adam.
Hey Adam, thanks for joining us today. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Winnebago?
Yeah, thanks. Adam Christoffersen. I am a senior product manager for Winnebago Towables. I have been with Winnebago since January of 2011. Started out with our motorized division in Iowa in a sales training role. Did that for just under 2 years and then moved out to the field as a district sales manager for the motorized group. And then about 4.5 years ago, I transferred over to Towables division and started working as kind of a district sales manager, regional sales manager, working with larger dealer groups and managing some of our sales team. And then about 3 years ago, moved into a product development role as product manager, still maintaining sales manager responsibilities. And so really today I work with our engineering team, our operations team, purchasing team for product development, staying really close with our general manager, vice president, Joel Eberline on future direction of product, as well as helping manage our sales team and keeping really close touch to our dealer partners through that channel, and that avenue is there as well.
So the product manager is really sounds like a jack of all trades kind of.
It is. It's kind of a hard role to define because especially in today's climate, you're trying to manage what does the 12, 18, 24 month look like on product? Where do we want to go next? What do we need to do to change a product that may be losing steam? Or what do we need to do to enhance product to maintain the momentum that we have, as well as staying in touch with the sales team that's reporting back what's going on out in the market, staying in touch with dealers. This is a heavily relationship-based business. So you got to keep your finger on the pulse with dealers and what's going on. But then you have the vendor partners out there that you're going around, mostly here in Elkhart County, some outside, meeting with their product and sales teams, trying to learn what's new and innovative coming. What do we want to jump on? What can we push to the back burner? But then you have engineering team. We've got to stay close to the engineering team. So they initially develop and draw some ideas in 2D and work with them, and then take it into a modeling phase. And then, when you're out at a vendor and you find this key part or widget, and how do they, you take it to them, they've got to try to fit it in. Does it have the right specs? Operations team from manufacturing, you got to keep in mind, what is that new feature going to reduce or enhance complexity to the manufacturing process? Purchasing teams, staying very close to them because they're helping procure all the parts. And right now, unfortunately, with all the supply chain constraints, there are a lot of, subbing and deviations being made. And we're just having to try to weigh, is this deviation going to be beneficial to the customer? Is it going to impact them from the ability to go camping? Is it going to be the right quality? How does it, affect the back end of the business? So a lot of it is heavy in communication, because you make one decision to change something, it impacts multiple departments, and you have to be able to communicate that out. So it's definitely a fun, challenging, and fast-paced role.
It sounds very fast-paced. It sounds ever-changing.
Yes, it absolutely is. That's why, for me, I love it, because it's something new literally every single day. You have your 6, 12, 18, 24-month goals, but there's just a lot of moving parts every single day to get to all those.
I always recognize Winnebago like from Class A's and Class C's. How long has Winnebago been making towables?
So Winnebago entered into an agreement to purchase Sunnybrook. I believe it was late in 2010. I believe Winnebago, I can't remember when they officially closed, but it's been about 10 or 11 years now. So right around the time that I was joining Winnebago, that acquisition was being closed. So Winnebago purchased Sunnybrook. And for the first couple of years, it operated as Sunnybrook. And then I believe about close to around year 3 after the acquisition, it rebranded to Winnebago Towables and kind of kept some of the identity of Sunnybrook. And then it's really evolved into a standalone business within Winnebago Industries. We look for a lot of synergies where we can in some markets, in some purchasing parts and pieces, go-to-market strategy. So we're communicating a lot more between our business units these days than we did, in the early days of the acquisition.
And right before we got on with you were telling us that the towables were built in Indiana. Is that where they've always been? When Winnebago acquired Sunnybrook, that was also Indiana?
Yeah, so we purchased all of Sunnybrook's physical and intellectual property right here in Middlebury, Indiana. So we are operating in the original Sunnybrook facilities as far as office building, a couple manufacturing plants. Winnebago did invest some capital into the towables, but Winnebago Industries invested capital into the Winnebago Towables brand business a few years ago, and we put up a brand new lamination facility so we could differentiate ourselves within the market and have a better built sidewall, as well as a new laminated trailer plant, which is currently housing, building our Mini brand and Voyage trailer brand. So we have expanded into 2 new buildings, but we've made investments and improvements to, make the older facilities more safe and a better environment for our team members to produce.
Okay. That might have answered my question. My next question was going to be what makes a Winnebago towable stand out. So you're doing a laminated shell then? Yeah,
well, so we primarily, Winnebago Towables plays primarily in laminated trailers. We used to do toy haulers, we used to do fifth wheels, but over the last couple of years, because of COVID, all the demand in the outdoor recreation space from a retail consumer, all of the supply chain constraints, and the efficiencies that are needed to get the output and a better quality product, we did pause all toy hauler production and we paused fifth wheel production so we could mainly focus on laminated trailer production, which is our hike, which is our hike family of products, the micro mini family of products, the mini and voyage trailer. What makes us different, we definitely have that name in Winnebago. The new consumer today, when they walk in and they're saying, I want to go camping and I want to take my family and I have this budget or this price point, when they're told, hey, what about this brand X? They generally, maybe 8-9 times out of 10 have not heard of it. But when they say, I've got this Winnebago, well, everyone knows Winnebago. It's like Kleenex of tissues. That definitely helps us stand out. But we're not just kind of resting on our name. We're looking at what type of innovative products and floor plans and, really building quality into our manufacturing process. So the product stands tall when it gets to the dealer before their PDI process. It goes to their sales lot a lot cleaner. It stands tall. It runs through their service before delivery a lot cleaner. So that way, with the quality that's built in, a customer can realize it, a dealer can realize it, and they want to stock more and sell more, and we have that more demand from the end consumer. We're looking at using products like Asdale to try to reduce as much wood in the products as we can. We're looking at ways, corporate responsibility from the types of materials and how we recycle and what we're putting in. We also look at some of the initiatives from being innovative into Hike 100 and Micro Mini Flex, some of the newer products that are out there that we can bring to market and incorporate in. What can we do to make a better built wall and give a higher quality product right from the point of inception here at the factory.
Kenny and I have talked to Winnebago before on the podcast, and one thing we both like is the voice project. Do you guys use the voice project over on the towable side to see what consumers are looking for and what improvements you can make?
We do, correct. We offer consumers the opportunity to come and give us feedback. The visits on innovation customer experience. We also do a lot of market research through marketing and product development with third-party marketing firms. We look at current owners, prospective owners. It can be broken down into, I'm going to buy in this length, this weight, this price point. I have intentions of buying in the next 12 months or next 12 to 24 months. So we can go to market with broad topics and we can go to market with very narrow, like we can put together a whole presentation so we know where we need to play, what features we need to put in, if we need to be price conscious, if we don't need to be price conscious, what are the features and content. And Hike 100 is a huge project of what we've done from listening to customers and how we've really developed that. So prior, I would say we didn't do as much. Or we thought we did, but since the beginning of COVID, we've really accelerated how much we're doing with getting consumer feedback.
Yeah, I was going to comment that I've seen the hike, and it really is, like, not saying your previous towables weren't great, but the Hike 100 is really a step up as far as towable quality goes. I think it's really, you can tell you guys did something different or were more consumer focused. Something happened when you developed that was different from prior, because it seems like it's just steps above other towables.
Yeah, so right before, I would say probably the September before COVID, so coming up on, well, it was 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago, this September, we had debuted our current hike. We got that from kind of ideation to prototype and kind of a soft launch in, let's say, 8 to 10 weeks. And we just wanted to do something different. We wanted to, we had the shell basically, but we wanted to give it a different look on the outside with the exoskeleton, that would kind of attract that consumer saying, oh, that doesn't look like a trailer. That looks neat. And then, oh, what is it? Well, it actually acts for gear hauling. It's plug and play with Thule and Yakima gear racks. And, it can act as, it has the Nerf bars for brush guard. And then when you walk inside, we wanted people to say, that's not a towable. It has European full overlay. It looks more like a B van or a Class C Sprinter, but we brought that into a travel trailer. So we were kind of going for that, and it went off very, very well. And so we went into production with it, and we started producing it basically January and February. And then we were in the middle of the production run, and the world shut down in March. So we had just launched it basically to the consumers, and we have a ton of momentum around that active outdoor lifestyle consumer and in that gear hauling space, because not everybody can afford a motorhome that goes and allows you to go do adventure camping. So we were offering a price point and a feature there that was a little bit more affordable. As soon as COVID hit, we kind of were like, okay, we have 3 single axle floor plans that are 3,600 to 4,000 pounds. We have 2 dual axle floor plans that are north of 4,000 pounds. What about smaller? We kind of asked ourselves, what about smaller and lighter? Because there's still the Jeep customers or maybe a crossover customer that doesn't want a full-on traditional trailer. So that's where, because of COVID and the lockdown and the shutdown, we took our current hike as well as a proposed hike 100. And our initial thinking was, if we go smaller and lighter, that probably is going to mean less cost. So we were wondering, what can we do to get the cost out? So when we initially went to our marketing firm and asked for help, with our current hike, here's what it is, and here's what we want to do with hike 100, they went to market and they came back, and it was eye-opening. This consumer who's the Jeep or the crossover, the Audi type buyer, this active outdoor lifestyle, they want a smaller, lighter weight trailer that allows them to go enjoy active outdoor lifestyle. So we really then changed our thinking. And we also, we work with Peter Holcomb, who lives full-time, and he and Kathy and Abby living full-time in their Revel. Well, they've been towing a hike. They have a 172 BH. And so that becomes extra living quarters for Abby or extra gear hauling. And so we started talking to Peter, and I was thinking, okay, if we're going to go lighter and smaller, we were starting to see some interest in van plus trailer along this same time too. So while we were refining the features of the content that needed to go into hike 100 based on our market research, started talking about, what does this van plus trailer look like? So, Peter saying, here's the 3 things that B van owners want. They want more gear storage because B vans are small and limited to it. They want extra sleeping when needed, and they want outside kitchen or outside living space. So we started looking at kind of all those features. How do we design floor plans around that, but keep it small, a 13-foot box, 16-foot overall length, and 3,000 pounds or under. So that way we can really tap into those smaller, light towable vehicles as well as B vans. And then basically 18 months later, Hike 100 was just debuted about 45 days ago, and we'll be ready to debut it to the retail consumer at the 2022 Tampa Super Show.
I agree with Sean when he talks about towables and stuff like that. I'm Class A all the way type of guy. But when I saw the Hike and the Hike 100, they definitely caught my eye as saying, hey, this is really something I want to take a look at. So I did. So I started, going to the website, Winnebago website, and I saw something that I thought was really interesting and really cool. And you almost touched on it. You said bedding when you need it. There's a floor plan of a Hike 100 where the bed is elevated and you can use the underneath the storage, and you got dual doors in the back. I would call that a toy hauler because of the setup. You guys probably don't call it a toy. What would you consider that?
So that's the 1316 SB. So all the Hike 100 floor plans are 1316 designation. It's a 13-foot box, 16-foot overall length. And that particular one is it's not a toy hauler, because your toy haulers have a traditional ramp that folds down and then you can drive your toys in there.
Gotcha.
This is an active outdoor lifestyle gear hauler. So we will have D-rings in the floor, so that way you could walk a kayak or a canoe in and secure them. Or if you wanted to put your bikes, because a lot of people, these carbon fiber bikes now are getting so expensive, and consumers invest so much into those that a lot of them don't want them hanging on the front of the A-frame or hanging off the back. Now, we do include a 2-inch accessory receiver hitch, so that way it's plug and play with these nicer bike racks. But still, even to that, a lot of people don't want their expensive bikes hanging off the back. So you can open those swinging doors and walk any of your active outdoor lifestyle gear in, because your bench seats, your sofa seats in the back, they do act like a toy hauler, where then you can fold those flat against the wall. And then your main bed, you push it up flat against the ceiling, and you have 49 cubic feet of interior gear hauling space there. So it's really neat. And then the bathroom in all of those, it is a wet bath. Now, it is designed to be multifunctional. So we didn't want to just take a small travel trailer wet bath that's out in the industry. The consumers said, I can live with it, but I want it to be functional for storage, gear storage and wet storage. So we actually internally looked and said, you know what, our B-Van team has phenomenal wet baths. If you look at what they've done in Revel and Solus, and now, Echo being a smaller Class C, we started talking to the product team, with Russ and Chris Beanert over there. And then our engineers, we kind of got our engineers to meet up with John and Lee over there. So it was really a good collaboration of them helping us put together a wet bath and a towable that's not just another cookie cutter. So we have storage slats in there, so you can actually put dry storage in there. We've got proper ventilation in the ceiling area up there. So that way, if you had any wet storage, you can go ahead and throw like a wetsuit in there, and then with ventilation, it can help dry. And then some things that they said, consumers said, and Peter even said, is I might just want to go hiking for 4 or 5 hours, and I don't need to come back and take a full-on shower and unload all my gear. I want to be able to use something that I can actually use on the outside. So we have the outside shower there that is fully enclosed by the batwing awning. So you can have full privacy on the outside and use the shower on the off-camp side underneath an awning. If you just need to change out of a wetsuit or just rinse off after a quick hike, you don't need to track inside your trailer and actually unload any storage. So again, it's cross-functional, and we're giving consumers the option to choose what they want.
Yeah, that's very cool. And something else that's really popular right now, Adam, is e-bikes. People want to keep their e-bikes inside. You got electronics, they're expensive. So that's another great option for them. And
that's a great point, Kenny. So we will have a larger 4,000 pound axle on there with a GVWR of 4,200 pounds. So if you look at the dry weight, so our first prototype, the dry weight was 2,700 pounds. And if you've got a 4,000 pound axle with 4,200 pound GVWR, you're getting over 1,000 pounds of cargo carrying capacity in a 13-foot trailer that weighs under 3,000 pounds. So you're not going to be limited to just a kayak or a bike or a couple bikes. If you do have an e-bike that may weigh just a little bit more, but not, we're not talking true toy hauler weights, but again, it affords you the opportunity to take different amounts of toys with you.
Yeah, I was impressed by the cargo capacity in such a small unit like that. Something else that really stood out to me, and I was wondering, well, first, I'd like to just touch on something else that you said, that you guys collaborate with other engineers. And that's something I've always wondered about, because the size of Winnebago, you got engineers on top of engineers with Class A's, your B's, your C's, so that's great to hear that you guys are talking to one another and picking each other's brains and saying, hey, I like what you guys are doing here. Can we incorporate that? That's awesome to hear. I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's a little bit easier because I lived in Forest City for 2 years. I worked in the offices there. I got to personally know all the sales team, the product team, the engineering team. And then as a district sales manager for about 4 years, I would go to all the the company meetings, and we would go review product. So your product team would be there, the engineering team's there. You develop a rapport with them. So it's a lot easier for me to pick up the phone and call them, or when I see them at like an industry event, or we go to the GNR, the WIT rally, it's almost like kind of a homecoming, and how you doing, how's your family? So it's a lot easier to pick up the phone and be, hey, Todd McCowan, my wife taught your daughter in 6th grade and she was your volleyball coach. How's she doing? Okay, hey, can you help me on a bathroom project because I love what you did? Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? So drawing in some of those personal connections and relationships to help, not want to say leverage, but just to help break down those barriers of, hey, will you help us? Everybody's been great. It's all like, hey, we're one Winnebago. We want you to be successful. We want to be successful. So it's really a good partnership.
Hey, that's awesome. That's so good to hear. I also wanted to point out something that just jumped out to me right away when I looked at the Hike 100, and that's the wheel wells have cargo capacity, or maybe you can flip them into tables. I thought that was a really creative idea that I haven't seen before. What did that spur from? Was that customer feedback? How did that happen?
So, well, on our current hike, our axles are wider than and tires stand wider than the body. So that does give the body or the shell of the house. So it does give really good stability to have that being wider for a narrower body. On our current hike, it was just more about kind of a rugged look and protecting the mud from flying up and getting on the fiberglass. And our engineer, Homer, he started working on Hike 100, and then that was the kind of the project he was involved with, and then he retired. And he literally was just sitting one day looking and thinking, what can we do to make that more functional? And he took a piece of cardboard, mocked up a fender that had storage, and showed it to us. And literally, 2 minutes into his presentation of showing us all the features, we're like, stop, home run, phenomenal, move forward, get with operations and talk, let's talk through them about how it's going to install, get with purchasing, let's get a prototype coming. And how it's evolved is, it's literally on both sides, on your off camp side, on your non-patio side, you have that storage fender, the top flips up, and it's just additional gear storage. So again, it's the consumer feedback that challenged us to, where can you get as much storage as possible in a small space? On the main patio side, not only does it flip up the top, but then the face of it folds down, and then you could set like a cooktop on top of there. So if you had a propane cooktop, you can set it right on top of there, and your LP quick connect line is located right in reach there on your patio side. So then, you can plug and play there. So if you look at the B van industry, consumers pay $150,000, $160,000 for a B van, and then they spend 20 to 50 to 60, 70 grand in doing modifications, because for them, the value in what they've spent benefits them and affords them the ability to enjoy their lifestyle. So we were trying to look at some of the B van modifications and, what do they do? And is there anything that we can directly incorporate in?
Switching gears a little bit, the Mini Flex is also another active outdoor lifestyle model, I guess, that you guys have. Is that more targeted for the family outdoor adventure kind of group? Or how does it differ from the target audience of the Hike 100?
The Micro Mini Flex is kind of more about sustainability and efficiency. We partnered with Traveling Robert Morales. So Traveling Robert, he is a Micro Mini brand ambassador. Kind of to back up for just a quick second, the Micro Mini product is kind of our Swiss Army knife. Kenny, you alluded to some of the categories that, our voice of customer that we kind of group customers into. We stopped looking at customers as age groups, as, Gen Y, Gen Z, baby boomer, millennial. And we wanted to put them into categories of, okay, are they rugged nomad or active outdoor lifestyle? Because if you're a active outdoor lifestyle consumer, you could be a millennial and you could be a baby boomer. So we've got to start looking at them across what their activities are versus what their age gaps are. And so Micro Mini is just that. Micro Mini it can get a baby boomer customer that's wanting to downsize out of a fifth wheel or downsize out of a motorhome because those are just too much work and too big, but yet they want to, they want to enjoy the lifestyle, because micro mini is predominantly 26 feet and under, and it's predominantly, right around 200 pounds and under. So it still can be towed by most, mid-size SUVs, maybe not smaller crossovers, but mid-size SUVs, smaller trucks. But it also attracts maybe a first-time buyer that's kind of nervous about, like, okay, I want to be under 30 feet. I want to be less than 6,000 pounds. And because it checks a lot of boxes for us. So setting that stage there. When we started our partnership with Traveling Robert, he's a videographer, YouTuber, and does a lot of things. He works from the road, works remotely, is not 100% full-time, but pretty close. And so he asked us to put a lithium battery on there, an inverter, and a little bit extra solar. And he just was in love with a Trumo AquaGo water heater based on what he did to a modification on his own. So we did a few things. And that was when we had him into his 1708 FB a couple years ago, right before COVID. He before the world shut down, he beelined up here, grabbed it, and went. And almost instantaneously after he released his video, we were getting calls saying, we want this. Well, I mean, we kept seeing the demand. So it's like, all right, we've got to, what's our electrification strategy, and what do we need to do to make, for a more efficient product? Well, then he came to us and said he was ready to upgrade to a 2108 DS Micro Mini. And he said, I want to try to go up to 5 days off grid, because I bought some property in North Florida, or I might be traveling. My wife can now work full time from the road. So we had a call with him, and really more led by our engineering manager. We kind of kicked it off, and then we let those two talk. And we got to the point of, how many minutes a day do you use your water heater, your TV, your radio, your microwave, every single 110 outlet, USB? What do you have plugged in? And so our engineering manager took all that info, built and designed his own load calculator, and he plugged in all the numbers and out kind of spit a formula saying, you need X battery power, Y inverter, and solar, and if you want to get 5 days based on what he's saying his usage is. So we're saying up to 5 days, but this, every user is going to be different on how they use it. We met with a few suppliers on what your battery and solar and inverter packages are. We definitely looked at what our motorized team has been doing in Travado and Revel, because they've got the lithium Travados, and they do electrification initiatives in Revel. They use a lot of inverters in all their products. So we got some test data from them, and based on our engineering manager's recommendations and meeting with suppliers, we put together a prototype for Traveling Robert that had two 320 amp hour lithium batteries. It has a 3,000 watt inverter. It has a 30 amp MPPT charge controller with side mount portable charge prep as standard. It has two 190 watt rigid panels on the roof. He wanted some Truma AquaGo, but we partnered with Truma as well and put the Vario heat furnace in. The big component of all this was air conditioning. You got to have battery and inverter pack powerful enough to power the inverter. We did not want to go to a true 48 volt system. We wanted to stay a normal 12 volt system. We've partnered with Truma on their new Aventa air conditioner. It is a 110 air conditioner, but it is so efficient that it can be powered by the batteries and inverter. And then we also wanted to look at, okay, if you're going to go 5 days off grid, then you're going to need to expand your, conserve fresh water and gray water space. So we put the AquaView shower miser system in there, which helps circulate the system in there so you don't drain and lose fresh water while you're waiting for it to warm up, and then at the same time fill your gray tank quicker. So we put all of those packages and this whole package together for Traveling Robert. He came up, took delivery, and again, he released his next video, and I mean, immediately dealers and us, it's just like, this is fool me once, shame on us, fool me twice. So we were like, we got to do this. So we quickly accelerated to, we've got to secure these products. We've got to figure out how to, manufacture it. And we were quickly having meetings with supply chain and vendors and operations. And so we formed what is the Micro Mini Flex. So we wanted it to be kind of flexible, efficiency. So we're calling it kind of our Flex, efficiency package. It's not 100% electrification, because the electrification initiatives are your lithium batteries, your inverter, your solar, upgraded solar, expansion with portable. But we also want it to be, you got to think efficiency, because you've got the Vario heat furnace, which still has propane. It's more efficient. And we also wanted to put in factors like the shower miser system. So we wanted to look at, more of electrification, but we also did not want to go full electrification and put electric only furnaces or water heaters that our dealers have never seen before. If you look at these Truma products, we know that they're higher end, based German engineering. We know that they're going in, some of the diesel pushers, a lot of the B vans and Class C sprinters. We know that our dealers have seen them, our retail consumers are aware of them. So we didn't want to force in products that dealers can't service or sell because they don't know anything about it, or consumers don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move to look at serviceability, because that's sometimes, or probably always is, the thorn in everybody's RVing side.
Yep.
Is when it comes to service something. Nobody wants to turn in their RV and give it to somebody and they look at it and say, I have no idea what to do with this. So I think that's smart on your part to keep that in mind. And I'm glad that you mentioned about that AC unit, because when you said, that he's looking to buy property in Florida and off grid for 5 days, I'm like, man, Florida off grid and AC. I wonder if they thought about that, but you did. And that's pretty cool. I've never heard of that AC unit. So now I got to go look up that AC unit.
Yeah, Truma just debuted it. And we did. Traveling Robert had a Q&A kind of meet and greet at GNR this last year in July, and quickly people were asking about his unit and all the electrification. So that brought me on stage to help answer questions. And there was a ton of dialogue around that new Truma Aventa air conditioner. And we ended up having to get Truma on stage as well, just to help. It is very, very efficient from the standpoint of being able to be powered on battery and inverter. In fact, I kind of forgot to mention some of our numbers that we have in the testing. The testing that we did here at our facility, we've done it a handful of times, indoors, outdoors, indoors with the door open a bunch of times. And basically, we got about 3.5 hours of running the air conditioner on battery and inverter before we saw the battery kind of power start to come down to where it was, okay, we need to shut it off, let the solar recharge. So while it may be, it's still it may not be ideal for Florida, because you're not going to be able to just run your air conditioner all day on battery and inverter. It may be, hey, I'm going to cool it off for a couple hours at night while we're having dinner and relaxing, turn it off for a while, or I may just put it on for a couple hours right when we're going to bed just to cool it off.
Yeah, I think for Florida, a lot of times it's more of just get the humidity out of the inside, at least, just pump the humidity and get it out of here, and then you're good.
And another thing is how quiet it is. That was one thing that I did kind of I took for granted. I think, and throughout the whole process, my mindset was just, we got to find something that's so efficient that we can power it with battery and inverter. And when we actually started using it, the sound that it puts out is so soothing, and so it's non-disruptive. You can sit in there. It's to the point where we had a little mini kind of open house this year with the bigger event being canceled. We were inside one of our manufacturing buildings in the middle of the afternoon. In September, it was still getting to 85, 86, 87 degrees outside. Then you put it inside of a building. We were having to put garage doors open just to get some airflow. Well, we had the Micro Mini Flex plugged in with the door wide open, and we just kept the air conditioner on low cool all day, and it maintained like a mid to low 70s as temperature. I mean, dealers didn't even know it was on. Like, you walked in there and like, oh yeah, it's on. And they're like, no way, it is. So that is one thing that I think we kind of took for granted, is just that better customer experience that customers are looking for. Because as you know, being an avid RVer, it can definitely be disruptive if you've got your air conditioners blasting and you're trying to work or you're trying to have a conversation.
Or watch Netflix.
Yeah. Yes.
The 3.5 hours is pretty good though, because I can get about an hour on I have a traditional Coleman RVAC, and I can get about an hour before I have to shut it off and let the solar recharge the batteries. So
yeah, the two 320 lithium batteries and that 3,000 watt inverter are pretty powerful and pretty efficient.
yeah. What kind of warranty do these trailers come with?
So that's a great question. So all of our trailers get a 1-year bumper to bumper factory warranty. We have a 3-year structural warranty from the aluminum cage itself and the roof construction. We do have a 12-year roof skin warranty. And then every appliance, tires, axles, they all have their own, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 years. So every single nuance is a little bit different. But I'm glad you brought that up, Sean, because that was one thing, especially on this Micro Mini Flex, as we launched through our virtual product launch. We're hearing dealers that are kind of just saying, thank you. Like, we're already doing these things. We have customers coming in spending $7,000 to $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 and doing all of this. And it's voiding factory warranty because of the work we're doing to it, but they don't care. It's because they want, they're paying for all of this stuff out of pocket. They may have financed the trailer, but then they're paying out of pocket for the modifications, because you can't add financing in on the aftermarket stuff. So our dealers are saying, this is great because you're going to help my fixed ops, and we're going to put it on the MSRP so that way it can be financeable versus having to be paid out of pocket, and it gets factory warranty. It's backed by all the factory warranties.
Adam, are these available right now in January? Can somebody go to a dealer and purchase it, or are these going to be on a back order because of supply chain or anything like that?
They are not available in dealer inventory as of today. We will have 4 of them on display. So they'll be available in 4 floor plans, which it's a 2100 BH 2100 BH bunk model for families, 2306 BHS, which is a Murphy bed with bunks for families. And then we have the 2108 DS, which is our Murphy bed couples model, and a 2108 FBS, which is a fixed bed couples coach. We will have all 4 floor plans will be on display at the January Tampa Super Show, January 2022. And then we are starting production of Micro Mini Flex basically the 1st of February. So the way that this is going to work is we're going to have to produce them in kind of a batch build, because we need, from an OEM standpoint, we need an X amount of these batteries and inverters and air conditioners. I mean, everything that goes into this, we need in a bigger quantity. We know we're doubling the solar, so we need more capacity in solar. So we have to batch build them, or we have to build them all in one. So we're going to build about 7 weeks worth of 7 to 8 weeks worth of all 4 floor plans combined. And that will, we already have, we've had a ton of success on this just based off of the virtual product launch. So all of our retail solds that are already in backlog will get prioritized, and then starting to land on dealers' lots in February, March, and April. And we'll be out there for the spring and summer season.
And is it the same for the Hike 100 as well?
Hike 100, so we'll have 2 floor plans, the 1316 FB and the 1316 SB. Those 2 floor plans will be at Tampa Super Show. As of today, our plans are March production. So they'll start landing on dealer lots later March into April, May, early summer. So that way we can get those out for spring and summer as well.
If I saw one at the Super Show, I could order one now and it would be produced in that first run, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And so so if you ordered one at the Tampa Super Show, it would get built. So there would be no problem with getting it in on that early production once in spring of 22.
And at the Tampa show, Adam, will people be able to take a listen to that AC unit and hear it for themselves and things like that? Will you be doing like displays or demos?
Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. I'm glad you brought that up. What we'll do is we'll have all 4 Micro Mini Flex there on display, and they'll all be kind of grouped together. At Tampa Super Show, we'll have all the hikes together. We'll have all the Micro Minis together. If you're looking at a 2108 DS and you want to see it with the dinette or with the optional sofa, we'll have both there so you can physically touch feel. We'll have the Micro Mini Flex. We try to do that so from a merchandising standpoint, if you're shopping like floor plans or segments, it's just easier. You don't have to run all over.
Mm-hmm.
But then Truma is also, we're working with Truma, and the plan is, as of right now, the plan is for Truma to be in our display, and they're going to have their own tent and call it like a little booth inside the Winnebago Towables display right next to all 4 Micro Mini Flex. So that way they can offer product training to the sales team, to the Winnebago team members, and be there for a better consumer experience to answer all the questions about their products. So all of those will be available for viewing.
Oh, great.
You guys anticipate, I'm sure you're already preparing for these builds, and, the supply chain issues are just out of control right now. So I guess you're already gathering the stuff you need for these future builds?
Yes. So our supply chain team, we go through what's a kind of a sales and operations planning process. We look at everything that's short term, medium term, long term. And even if it's in that medium to long term, but we're 80 to 90% sure, like, hey, this is going to happen in this month or around there, our supply chain team communicates that to our vendors so that way they can plan their business out. That may not mean at the time that we tell them that, hey, we're placing a PO, lock it in. This is very likely, go ahead and place the business. It's all about forecasting and trust and partnerships. Our local supply chain team, boots on the ground here, as well as our vendor partners and our corporate sourcing team. So we do have a corporate sourcing team at the Winnebago Industries enterprise level. They support all the different business units. We're doing a lot of communicating, a lot of forecasting, and a lot of planning with our supplier partners. So that way we can get the products here in the times that we need it to produce.
Yeah, I'm curious because this latest supply chain glut, I guess, has really affected all industries across the board. Were you guys ever caught up in manufacturing? Or, was there, not just because of supply, I know there's a lot of back orders because of supply chain issues, but you've always had back orders, right?
Not to get into too much of the weeds of it, but we're constantly, communicating and trying to manage supply. Containers are getting stuck. Containers are getting delayed leaving ports overseas. They're getting stuck in the ports here, or they're getting stuck at the rail yard. So really, we're just trying to communicate as much as we can with our supplier partners, and we have to plan based on the information they give us. Sometimes the timing is right and we execute. Sometimes the timing is a miss and we have to pivot. We're looking at dual sourcing when we can. We're always looking at what are alternative products in case this product doesn't come in. Has it been tested? Does it fit from an engineering standpoint? What does production think? So again, that's where I was talking about in my particular role is if we can talk about what we want to do at the March dealer meeting. What do we want to debut, or what do we want to debut next year at open house? What's the market calling for? But there's always that every day of what if the timing didn't work? Then what do we have as a backup? So there's always something that we're having to work around.
Yeah, I guess my point is that you guys, it's nothing new to you. It might be on a bigger scale, but you guys are used to working in this environment.
Yeah, Sean, like you said, nothing new to us, but you nailed it on the head. Nothing on this scale. There's always been a little bit of back order or having to be flexible on some things, but like you said, nothing to this scale. We've all learned a lot these last couple of years.
Do I'm not even sure if you're allowed to talk about, Adam, but do you have pricing picked out now, or will pricing be available by the time the Tampa show rolls around?
Yeah, pricing will be available at Tampa Super Show. At the time here that we're recording this, it's all still in the final stages of being finalized.
You guys are really forcing the Class B unit to step up their game now. I think this is going to be a good competitor, especially to those people that can't afford to get into a Class B. Like you said, some of those are very cost prohibitive if you're just an entry level RVer that wants to do weekend kind of stuff.
I wouldn't say a competitor. I hope it's more viewed as a complementary product.
Okay.
Those are pretty high words to talk about, considering what Russ Garfin and his team, Chris Beaner, have been able to do with the Class B products in the Class B industry. Definitely forward-looking innovators and leaders in that segment. So I appreciate the comment, but I definitely hope this is viewed more as a complementary product. And like you said, is it the consumer that we're not pulling business away from the B van? We offer them now a product that allows them to enter. And I would love to see these Revel B van buyers buy a Hike 100 and be really, Winnebago owns that van plus trailer space. So again, tons of respect and praise to what Russ and Chris and the B van team has done. And I just hope that, I view this as a great complementary product in the Winnebago portfolio to offer that consumer.
Yeah, that's said better than I did.
I have a quick question for you, Adam. Maybe a quick question. Are you guys looking at EVs at all being new tow vehicles? I have a reservation for an F-150 Lightning. I'm in groups. People are talking about going camping. What type of campers? Is that something that you guys are looking at, or is it too far? I know Rivian is already out on the market. Ford's supposed to be March. You don't have the Cybertruck in a year or two.
All of the OEM auto manufacturers EV commitments have also was a factor in us accelerating Micro Mini Flex to kind of test the waters and some electrification in trailers. We are definitely having conversations internally and having some conversations with external consumers in that space. The Towing with Tesla Club is a great resource on Facebook. We do have a relationship with Brian and Becca Roy. We've met them in that group because they have a Tesla and they have a couple-year-old Micro Mini. And so we've had some initial conversations with them. Their challenges, they live in Florida and their family is up in the Northeast, I believe in Maine. They want to travel with their trailer, their Tesla and their trailer and go to the Northeast. Well, it would take them 5 days to get there with all the stopping and charging. So, we're looking at some longer term initiatives of what can we do to capture the energy that the towable creates going down the road and use that to repurpose that energy to prolong the life of an EV. But there's a lot of things to work around, as well as, like we were talking about earlier, Sean, there's just a lot going on the day-to-day to keep the current products supported. So where do we pull the resources to dedicate that? But it's definitely something that Winnebago Industries, and I know Winnebago Outdoors is committed to, is electrification and EV. It's just at how quickly can we get there and do it right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's the do it right part is probably worth the longer term vision than trying to just throw something out there that maybe isn't going to meet the needs totally. So yeah, Kenny and I definitely appreciate that. We're big EV fans, so we're keeping an eye on the RV space for EV stuff. So yeah, that'll be exciting when something that really meets the needs comes out.
I personally feel like there's been some splashes out there, some people just trying to make headlines of, hey, look, this is what we're doing. But after that, you don't hear much about it, and I don't think there's a lot going on. So I think what we were saying is we need to continue to do our research and which way the automotive industry is going, and sit in the background on some of these chat forums and listen to what consumers want and make sure that we're gathering the correct information and content. And when we do go to market with the correct product.
Well, I think that's all of our questions. Is there anything we might have missed or that you want to add?
I don't think so. I sincerely, appreciate your guys having me on and getting a chance to talk about Winnebago Outdoors, Winnebago Towables, where we came from, how we got there, where we're at today, a little bit of where we're going in the future. I'm passionate about this company. I'm passionate about our brands and our consumers. And so it's just great that you guys allow me to come on and tell about our products and get an opportunity to tell our story a little bit. So thank you both.
Yeah, and we really appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to seeing you at the Tampa Super Show.
All right. Thanks, guys.
We want to thank Adam for coming on the show and talking about all the innovative ideas that are going on over at Winnebago. Some key takeaways for me were that they truly listen to their customers, they're not afraid to field test their RVs before going to the market, and they collaborate within the company to come up with the best products for each RV line. I was also glad to hear that they are looking into the future and keeping an eye on EV development. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we will be back in 2 weeks with another great episode. This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety, so go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. Hey everyone, Kenny here. Do you travel with pets and are looking for a way to monitor and be alerted of temperature spikes in your RV while away? I've been using a temp stick in our RV for over 3 years, and I love the simplicity of being able to connect to any of our hotspots, as well as not having the hassle of any subscription or service fees. If you are looking for a reliable way to protect your pets while away, check out TempStick at tempstick.com.